Welcome to the Walt Disney World Orlando Resort. Today we are going to dive into one of the most populated theme parks in the United States, Walt Disney World's very own Magic Kingdom. My name is Paula C. Torres, a resident fangirl of the Walt Disney Company. Disclaimer before we continue. The following content is based on my own personal experience, research, and opinions. Neither I nor my thoughts are affiliated in any way with the Walt Disney Company. Alright, let's dive into some really awesome attractions that you can find at the Magic Kingdom. But first, let's review our history. We'll start where any good story should start, the beginning. Walter Elias Disney started the earliest version of his animation company on October 16, 1923 in Los Angeles, California. 35 years later, he decided that a theme park was the perfect place for families to spend time together. The innovative thinker opened Disneyland in 1955. In 1971, the Walt Disney World Resort opened on the East Coast in Orlando, Florida. According to the Themed Entertainment Association and Architecture Engineering Consulting Operations and Maintenance Firm's Global Theme Park Attendance Report, the standings in 2017 were as follows. In 2017 alone, Disneyland's report has 27,874,000 guests. The Walt Disney World Resort, though, had 55,872,000 attendees. There has been a ton of research found that typically Disneyland's attendants happen to be annual pass holders and locals to the Anaheim area, whereas Walt Disney World attracts a lot of tourists because it's right by the coast. Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida is home to a total of 4 main parks, not including 2 water parks. At the Orlando Resort, we first have the Animal Kingdom. The Animal Kingdom is a park completely dedicated to just that, the Animal Kingdom. A guest can find animals of all shapes and sizes on various trails and on the safari, while celebrating with musical acts inspired by The Lion King and Finding Nemo. Hollywood Studios is a park made to feel like classic old Hollywood while having plenty of new wave Disney attractions and lands, such as those surrounding Star Wars, Toy Story, and Frozen. Next, we have Epcot. Epcot is a park dedicated to the innovation and wonder of the human mind. Half of the park is meant to be futuristic and centered around what the human mind is capable of, while the other half hosts the World Showcase. 11 countries are represented by culturally accurate offerings, food, architecture, and attention to detail. And of course, last but not least, Walt Disney World hosts the oldest and most popular park, the Magic Kingdom. At the Magic Kingdom, guests are in for an immersive land that holds heroes, villains, princesses, and characters galore. From parades to parties, the Magic Kingdom has something for everyone, and we're about to explore in what ways. So now that we know what each of the 4 parks represent, let's explore the breakdown of all 4 parks a little bit further. Here's how attendance compares among the 4 parks. According to the Global Theme Park Attendance Report, in 2017, Hollywood Studios had the lowest average attendance with 10,722,000 guests. Next up, we have Epcot with 12,200,000 average guests. Coming in second, Disney's Animal Kingdom had 12,500,000 guests. And topping us off and rounding us out, we have the Magic Kingdom at a crazy 20,450,000 guests in 2017 alone. Now that nearly doubles the amount of Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it goes to show that Magic Kingdom definitely is the most popular, and that might be because it is one of the biggest and because it has the most range. And we're going to get into just what that range is on the next slide. Disney's Magic Kingdom is broken up into 6 lands. The very first thing a guest sees as they enter the Magic Kingdom is the beautiful little town entitled Main Street, USA, With a wholesome all-American feel, guests are transported to a place where they can eat a candy apple while listening to a jazz quartet sing American classics on the street. Tomorrowland is the land of the future. Any Disney film or story that has something to do with science fiction is actualized in this land. Guests are taken to space and back, are able to meet blue aliens and space rangers, and ponder what the future can hold. Fantasyland can be found right behind the castle. This is where most of our character friends relax. Princesses, magic mice, and a villain or two may be spotted hanging around Cinderella's special fountain. Welcome to colonial times. Liberty Square is dedicated to a time with little technology, where one can sit on a riverboat and dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, all the while keeping an eye on that spooky house down the hill. If you are the type who enjoys adventure, pirates, and running from palace guards, Adventureland is the place for you. For all your boot, scoot, and boogieing needs, Frontierland takes you way out west for a rip-roarin' time. Be careful though, you may run into the country bears on your way to mine gold. A huge reason that millions of guests travel to Disney parks is because of the iconic attractions that are offered. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, an attraction is a place which draws visitors by providing something of interest or pleasure. Now, I don't know about you, but it sounds to me that Disney has that in the bag with their iconic attractions. In terms of theme parks, the word attraction refers to both rides and immersive experiences. The difference is that a ride is considered an attraction that you physically sit or stand in that moves and jerks and jolts and takes you on an adrenaline-inducing physical experience, regardless of how high or fast it goes. An immersive experience, on the other hand, could be a sit-down experience with a speaker, a story, animatronic, scenery, etc. Immersive experiences may also physically move the guest, but the goal is the immersive mental or emotional experience as opposed to the physical. So let's jump in and discuss the immersive experiences found at the Magic Kingdom. These immersive experiences are practically all indoors and air-conditioned. These are entirely non-thrill and are meant to be more of an emotionally engaging experience for the guest as opposed to a thrill-seeking one. So again, these non-thrill, non-ride immersive experiences are appropriate for any ages. We are going to start off this list of non-thrill ride / immersive experiences with Main Street USA. So on Main Street USA, you can find the Sorcerers of the Kingdom, which is an interactive game that people can play as they travel around the lands of the park. They can use this card game, and it's interactive and super fun. And there's also Cinderella Castle. Now, in Cinderella Castle, you can take pictures and you can look at the beautiful artwork inside, and it's a really fun icon of the Disney parks. When you find yourself in Adventureland, be sure to head into the Enchanted Tiki Room. Here is an air-conditioned venue where you can enjoy a show hosted by animatronic exotic birds. These birds are hilarious and musical as they sing songs from the islands. You are sure to be singing about the enchanted Tiki 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 Room until your vacation is over. When you're finished with the birds, be sure to check out the Swiss Family Treehouse. Based on the Swiss Family Robinson stories, guests can explore the treehouse and all of the artifacts within. You can then take a raft to Tom Sawyer's Island and immerse yourself in the wilderness, look for secret passageways, and get away from the park hullabaloo for a while. In Tomorrowland, we have Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. Mike Wazowski hosts an interactive comedy special where guests are encouraged to submit jokes to be read aloud by the monsters on stage. It is in an air-conditioned theater and puts fellow guests on the spot, which is always a treat. In Fantasyland, guests can become a part of Beauty and the Beast during Enchanted Tales with Belle. Guests are invited into Belle's home, and some are chosen from the audience to play characters in Belle's story as we prepare for her surprise party. Mickey's PhilharMagic is also a great place to take an air-conditioned break. PhilharMagic is a 3D musical experience held in an air-conditioned theater that follows Donald once he gets a hold of Mickey's sorcerer hat. Another great place to take a nice air-conditioned break and maybe even a nap is Liberty Square's Hall of Presidents. Cutting-edge animatronic technology allows for each of the nation's presidents to be honored in a tribute show honoring our country's leaders. In Frontierland, the Country Bear Jamboree is one of the oldest attractions in the park. Another animatronic spectacular joined the famed country bears as they sing songs of their roots. The Jamboree is an entire hoot and is a great place to enjoy the cool indoors. Low-intensity rides are rides that very young children can be carried onto. These rides are typically slower and have really strong musical and visual elements. A lot of them are also boat rides. On Main Street, USA, we have the station for the Walt Disney World Railroad. This is an evenly paced moving train that takes you sightseeing all around the park. There are stops and pickup locations in Main Street, USA, Fantasyland, and Frontierland. In Adventureland, you can take the silliest safari ever. The Jungle Cruise is hosted by a skipper who specializes in puns. This boat ride is not too fast, but jerks a little bit when making corners. Guests will see moving animatronics of happy elephants and hippos, zebras, and native folks. And, most impressively, guests will be able to see the backside of water. There are two low-intensity rides in Tomorrowland. We have the People Mover, a slow-moving tram that moves on a track overseeing all of Tomorrowland. Some have called it the on-land equivalent to the lazy river. Next, there is the Carousel of Progress. It's a great big beautiful tomorrow as you follow John and his standard American family as they go through the highlights of technological progress since 1900. Guests sit in a cool theater while the attraction moves from scene to scene. There are plenty of low-intensity rides in Fantasyland. Most of these follow the same formula. The guests sit in a seat that is moved along an Omnimover. The guests are then taken through a series of scenes from the movie in chronological order. There are familiar songs, beautiful scenes, and impressive effects. The rides are slow enough that the scenes can be enjoyed with no fear of getting hurt, but move fast enough to satisfy a child's curiosity of riding a ride. These rides are Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, It's a Small World, Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid, Peter Pan's Flight, all of which literally take the guests through their favorite stories. Prince Charming's Regal Carousel is stationed in the middle of Fantasyland and is a simple yet elegant carousel ride. Guests choose their favorite horse and round they go. Finally, we have the Liberty Square Riverboat. It is simply a gorgeous ride from one side of the Magic Kingdom to another, with a breathtaking view of the lagoon. There is plenty of standing and sitting room on both floors of the riverboat. When it comes to the medium intensity rides, young children are able to ride and enjoy. Some rides in this tier have a height requirement, though not most. Please note that some of these rides can be considered a little fast and jerky for kiddos, and even for some adults. For rides without height requirements, parents are advised to use their discretion. Rides with height requirements are non-negotiable. It is for the safety of the guests that those standards are set in place. Some of these rides go higher and faster than a low-intensity ride. There are some drops, although small, and these rides can be mildly frightening and dark in subject matter and execution. In Adventureland, you can ride the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. This ride is outdoors. Once on your magic carpet, you have manual controls that can be used to dictate the height and angle of which you are flying. Next, we have the Pirates of the Caribbean. This is both a dark ride and a boat ride. The guest is taken through a journey of Jack Sparrow on the high seas and on land. Incredible animatronic technology is used in the storytelling aspects. There is a bit of a drop or two in Pirates, and some images can be quite frightening for children. Blasting off into Tomorrowland, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin is a combination of a game and a ride. The object is that you are helping Buzz get away from Emperor Zurg and are shooting at targets to win points. This ride allows the guests to control the direction that their vehicle spins while shooting at targets themselves. This ride is dark and flashy. Another ride is Tomorrowland Speedway. This ride is faster and it takes guest-controlled go-karts around a track. Individuals must be 54 inches or taller to ride and control the vehicle. Guests must be at least 32 inches tall to sit in the passenger seat. In the whimsical Fantasyland, we can find Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Just like Magic Carpets of Aladdin, guests ride in a little elephant and they spin around in a big circle. There are levers that determine how high and to which angle they fly. The Mad Tea Party is inspired by Alice in Wonderland. Once guests are in the teacup, they can spin the wheel in the middle to determine how fast or slow they spin. Liberty Square hosts Master Gracie's Haunted Mansion. This ride is very slow, very dark, and takes the guests all through the mansion that is just buzzing with the afterlife. The reason that this ride is considered a medium intensity ride is because some of the scenes can be quite scary. There are ghosts everywhere and demented portraits that change faces, as well as murderous characters. While there is nothing that is truly graphic or serious in subject matter, to a child who has not yet been exposed to scary themes, it can be pretty troubling. Welcome to the high-intensity rides. The Magic Kingdom has 3 of these. Now these are the thrill-seeking rides that have even adults screaming their head off. Each of the following are fast and include tall drops. In the Land of Tomorrow, blast through space and time in Space Mountain. This ride has a guest in a tiny little capsule and shoots them through an incredibly dark maze of a track. Truly, Space Mountain is illuminated by stars and flashing lights in the distance. It is dark. The ceiling is not very tall, which would be troubling if the ride wasn't so fast. You'll most likely be too busy holding on for dear life than worrying about putting your hands up. Join Snow White's little friends over in Fantasyland on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. What sounds like a cute and quaint little ride is actually a pretty exhilarating rush through the mines. While it's certainly the most tame ride on this list, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a great first real roller coaster for a lot of kids. Totally manageable while being exciting as all get out. Out west in Frontierland, you can find not 1, but 2 high-intensity mountains. Splash Mountain is part boat ride, part wet ride, part huge coaster. Splash Mountain takes guests through the Song of the South with animatronic technology and a log boat theme. This ride warms guests up with smaller drops in the beginning before sending them barreling down the side of a mountain into a lagoon. Guests are warned that they will get wet, although they may get soaked. Right next door, we have Big Thunder Mountain, which throws guests on a runaway train on a rickety wooden track. Never fear, guests are totally safe. They'll just be in for a rootin' tootin' rush on the way down the mountain. The scenery includes hot springs, animal skeletons, train parts, and good old-fashioned canyons. Now, something to note is in each of these roller coasters that I just listed, individuals must be at least 38 inches tall to ride. As cheesy as it may sound, the Magic Kingdom really does have something for everyone. If your child is not quite tall enough this year to ride that special ride, there are plenty of other rides they will surely enjoy. Please do not give the attraction cast members a hard time if they do have to turn you away from a ride because your child is not tall enough. They are simply enforcing park policy that is set in place to keep all guests safe, including your kid. Thank you so much for tuning into this presentation all about the attractions found in the Magic Kingdom. It has been a pleasure to dig into this topic, and I hope you found out some really awesome tips for your next Disney vacation. Have a magical day!